Okay. Hi, everybody. It is Kendéll Lenice, and welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live. This is the panel series. You guys have been loving the panel series. This is the third installment this month, all the month of November. Every week, we were having panel series. We had the doctors panel. We had the real life love and basketball panel, love and professional sports. This is the Black community hot button topics. This is a different perspective. I want to hear the Black male's perspective. So that's what we're going to do today. We have another guest joining us at 7:15, but we are going to get started with the show. It's important that you subscribe right now, like, share, and comment, because we're going to get into what people are talking about on social media, off social media, otherwise. What are people talking around the dinner table? What are they talking about, right? What are people having conversations, lengthy conversations, phone conversations about? Those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today on Kendéll Lenice Live panel discussion. Let's get it. Right. It's so important that we have open dialogue and open conversations. And I just don't want to hear my own voice and opinion, because what fun is that? I want to hear the opinion of some other folks. So I'm going to bring two on now. One will be joining us in a couple of minutes. All right. First up, I have Pastor Cedric. He is an author, a community organizer, and a corporate trainer. Welcome, Cedric.
Well, thank you, Kendall. I appreciate being here. Excited about what we get ready to get into.
Yes. And mind you, I haven't told them everything that we're going to talk about, and I don't have anything prepared. Those are the kind of conversations that I like, is to really have authentic conversations and your for real opinion. You okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I'm used to it at this point.
I guess it's a little late to ask you that.
We can't answer that right now. It's like we here now, so we got to go with this thing.
Next up, of course, he's no stranger to my channel. We do a show every Thursday called More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films, and we talk about different topics all the time. We're back and forth in each other's inboxes and texts and phone calls about some of the stuff that's happening in the Black community. So, of course, I had to have Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr.
Yeah.
What's up, good people?
Donald Morton said, "Let's go." He is ready to go already. So I just want you guys.
I wish we could have had. It would have been great to have him on there. I don't know if Kendall, if you're still open or if he's available.
Do you want to be on here? He got it. Look, I don't want to put nobody else in the hot seat. If he wants to come on, I take your opinion. Do you want to come on, sir?
He's a good one.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
Definitely.
So we'll wait to hear. And Leroy, if he says yes, you have the link. Just forward him the link.
Well, I'd have to use my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Donald, they put you on the spot. The other guy, we have someone coming up in a couple of minutes, but the other guy, he said he would be honored. Awesome. So
I just instant messaged him the link.
Oh, look at you. That's what I'm talking about. Come on now. I was getting ready to ask. See? All right. Cedric said he just sent you.
Hey, Pastor Sid, did you get his message the other day?
I did, sir.
Well, I will allow Leroy or Pastor Cedric to introduce Donald Morton. That's what I'm talking about. Because I already like him, because he's like, let's go. He already has it. So if you guys want to take a moment to share this on your social media, you can go right to my YouTube channel. We are live now. And I'll send it to my Facebook. And if you want to connect that way, you can do that too.
Okay.
I'll put it right on mine.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go straight from YouTube, whatever is easier for you all. I just want to make that
No,
easier because we're about to get
yeah,
into some
yeah.
conversation.
Make sure you share it on your Facebook page, Kendéll.
Yeah, it's on
So,
there.
yeah. Okay.
It's on there. Let's just make sure. All right. I tagged you. Let's see, Cedric. So it's tagged on there. So it should be there. And you can just go to mine. All right, so we're going to talk about some subjects. I have some things written down. And I really want to know, honestly, your take on some of the things. Or look, Donald ain't waste no time. He is here. Do you guys want to? Who one of you can introduce me, because I'm meeting him for the first time as well.
Pastor Sid, you do the honors because you've known him longer, so.
No. Yeah, Donald is my guy. Me and him were working on a major project together.
And they didn't even brought me in on it too, possibly in on it too. So.
Who is he? What does he do? We gotta, tell the people a little bit.
So Donald Morton is a former pastor. He's from Delaware. He currently lives in the city of Atlanta, aka Chocolate City. He is somebody who is an innovator. He's an entrepreneur. He is the CEO of Remand Project. The Remand Project is based on developing men from a holistic perspective as we take them through this character arc training that Donald created. And it really helps men to go from one end of the arc to the other end. And by the time they get to that other end of the arc, they are whole. So it's spiritual, it's economical, it is social, and it really builds men from a perspective of helping them get from point A to point Z in a holistic manner. So it deals with mental health, how to engage socially, how to get reconnected to their families, because we really are going after men who formerly incarcerated men or men who've been connected to the juvenile system. And so really working on getting them to being the men that they need to be for family, community, and all spaces that they occupy.
I absolutely love that. That was a great introduction. And I'm so used to Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. as my brother, but he's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He's a networking genius. I always call him Little Clarence Avant. So let me just give my brother his credit where credit is due. But let's welcome Donald.
What's up,
welcome.
Listen, that dude that said was just talking about, I want to meet him.
Right, he's pretty awesome. We want to be in line to meet this man.
Hey, I want to meet him. Thank you for the introduction, and sis, thank you for allowing me to come share with the brothers and with you. I really am honored. That's not fluff. That's not smoke. I really am honored.
I appreciate you, and thank you for showing up and being right there. And look at that. And here comes Dwayne. See, it's God ordained already. It just fell the way it was supposed to be. And I wanted to kind of stretch it out because I wanted to make sure Dwayne was a part of the subjects that we talked about. But look how God just automatically, it just fell in line. Wow. All right, so without further ado, we have Pastor Dwayne Williams Jr., and he is just getting off work, so I appreciate you so much. Welcome, Dwayne.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't take a look at the flyer because had I took a look at the flyer all the way, and saw Donald Morton here, I there was no need for me to come. You know,
But
I
you
already
just,
saw the other guys, but this guy, you know,
My
but
boy.
let me tell
yeah,
you. So Troy, who is an author, a comedian, and an entrepreneur, I hope he's okay. He is on the West Coast, and I know it was something with his daughter yesterday, so I didn't really hear from him today. And Donald was the first one in the comments, like, let's go. So they talked about, like you just talked highly of him. They talked highly of him. So we were like, doggone it, you can join the show. So
yeah,
he wasn't
he's
on the
amazing.
flyer. So that's why you didn't see him.
He's amazing. I'm quite sure all the gentlemen are amazing. Dr. Leroy, we had a chance to kind of converse over the last couple of weeks, but I'm grateful to be here with all of these great gentlemen tonight, and including you, our
Thank
host. So
you.
thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I'm
you.
over
And
here
thank
trying to share and get people into the space, so that's what I'm doing over here.
absolutely. Please do so. And I was just saying, I don't know if you heard, but I didn't want to start without you. And I know you said you were just getting off work. So we got to respect the brother who got a job and just getting off work. You know, I'm going to make sure.
Hey, people think I'm full-time ministry. I make it look easy.
I
Hey,
know that's
hey,
right. I
hey,
think we all can say that.
hey.
Mhm.
Listen, hey,
All
but
right. So I'm going to just throw out some of the things that are going on in social media, in real life, you know, kitchen table conversations. Maybe you guys, you know, talk about different things, maybe at the gym, maybe at work, you know, and it's a lot of different things I have on the list. But definitely, if you want to add to it, we can do that. I'm not even sure if I want to start with this name first. I'm not sure. It's between the two K's. If I want to start with Kanye West first or Kyrie Irving. Let's just get Kanye out the way. Let's start there. So, Donald, I'll start with you. So when I say Kanye West, and we know, let me just put it out there for those that have been living under a rock, possibly. So Kanye West is chirping like a bird. He's letting it all loose. He is hanging loose with everything that he knows, everything that he feels, everything that he thinks is not right, is right, indifferent, whatever it is. He's no longer holding his tongue as if he did before, because remember what he said about Bush a few years ago. But he really is now to the point where people are afraid for his life because he's saying a little bit too much for some folks. So, Donald, I'm going to start with you. When I say Kanye West, what do you think about?
I think Kanye West is the man that most of us hope we could be.
Mm,
He's the guy who has made enough money to share whatever he wants to share without limitations, without any boundaries, in the way that he authentically believes. Now, whether or not we agree with it may be something totally different, but he has the absolute right to say it. I remember being on a trip to Accra, Ghana, and on that trip, um, obviously there were some brothers that were um, from Ghana, and you know, Dwayne, they were bumping into us and said they bumping into us. They don't say excuse me, they don't say I'm sorry, Dr. McKenzie, and so one of our brothers said, "Hey, my man, you couldn't say you can say excuse me. Who do you think you are?" This is what that brother said. He said, "I am who you would have been if you didn't get captured."
mm,
wow,
So
Woo!
mm,
in other
wow.
words, the level of boldness, the level of self assurance, the level of clarity about who I am, the level of self concept. This is who you would have been if you guys didn't get captured and come under European rule. And so I don't agree with everything that Kanye says,
mm-hmm,
but I will fight to the death for his right to say it.
mm-hmm,
And I think a part of what we do in the African American community is we are probably one of the only communities, sis, that eat our young. We
Mm,
kill our wounded instead of rallying around him, protecting him, and doing all of the things that every other community would do. we have the habit of talking greasy about him and then leaving him out there to dry when we really should be embracing him as a brother, pulling him to the side, hearing him out, and doing our best to protect him.
So what, Leroy, what do you think? And everybody's opinion is not going to be the same, whether they're on this panel and whether they're watching. And that's why it's important to have different voices. When you think about Kanye and slavery is a choice, and hanging with the president before the current one, what do you think? Because we know there's mental illness involved, there's pain involved, there's hurt involved. People are now saying, how long are you going to use your mother as an excuse? That's what I'm reading in the comments. Like, where are your friends and family? Who is pulling your coattail? What do you think about Kanye, Leroy?
Well, the word that comes to mind to me is understanding. Like Brother Donald said, I believe that everyone has the right to believe what they believe and to say what they say. But I don't think that a lot of people, and especially, when we're in certain positions and we have a certain amount of influence or, kind of power, so to speak, we don't understand how powerful our words are. And the effect that they can have on not just them, but it's a ripple effect and how that ripple moves throughout. Like I said, I don't agree with a lot of what Kanye said, but does he? And I agree with there was some of the stuff that I totally agree with what he said. Like what Donald said, he was bold enough to say it. These are conversations that we've had. Especially me and my friends, we've talked about those, and we said those very things. We said the same things, but he was in the position to say something. And here's my thing with those of us who are willing to step up and stand up and say those things. And this is the thing that I noticed about those that were a part of the civil rights movement. In any type of movement, are you willing to pay the cost of what you say? Because there is a cost to what you say, and Kanye is paying that cost of what he's saying, just like Kyrie, who we'll get into a couple minutes too, paying the cost of what they say. Now, whether or not that they realize what that cost would be, that's something that only they can answer. But they were obviously, they either didn't count the cost of what it was, or thought, and I think Kanye to a certain extent thought that he was above having to pay that cost. Didn't think that they would come after him in the way that they have come after him, and that the endorsements and everything like that, those corporations that were in partnership with him, because that's what he has to think about, that were in partnership with him, that had to say, hey, you know what, we were rocking with you, but because of what you said, we can't rock with you. And
because he said Adidas is not going to end my endorsement. Correct. And they said, oh yeah, if you don't believe me, just watch. And they did. So yeah, but go ahead, Leroy, please continue.
No, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we have to understand that we do have the right to say what we want, but are you willing to pay the cost? That's the question that all of us have to answer.
That's good.
I know I've had to answer that myself in certain things that I've said, certain things that I do, certain things that I believe in, and that are you willing to pay that cost? It may cost you. It may cost you monetarily or financially. It may cost you in other ways as well too. So you got to count that.
So how we're going to do this is I'm going to name, different things. And if you want to talk about that subject, you go for it. If you don't, you can say pass and we will go to the next. We'll move like that because you may not have an opinion on everything that we're talking about. So I don't want you to be like, I really don't care about that. So we go with that. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So Dwayne or Pastor Cedric, if you want to chime in on Kanye West, definitely feel free to do so.
I think I'm just gonna echo what my other two brothers said, because I mean it's just that simple.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that he has said, question mark, and then there's a lot of things that he said that you're like, it's make us think. The only caveat that I would add to this is the freedom of speech in America is really not the freedom of speech, especially when it begins to step on toes of people's reality. And
Ooh, wee!
one of the
Ooh.
things that
Yeah.
I am extremely passionate about, adamant about, is understanding your reality. And I think that people have a false sense or a false perspective of their reality until someone shows it to you. That's why I don't necessarily shut people down when
Mm-hmm.
they tell me something. I
Mm.
hear them out first because they may give me a revelation about
Mm-hmm.
me that I'm not quite seeing, because I
Mm.
can't see everything from the inward place.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I need somebody on the outer side of me to
Mm-hmm.
see what it is. And oftentimes when I hear people that's like, oh no, it's not that, it's this, it's that, it's that. What I hear is this narrative of not really accepting really what it is. And I don't want to get your show canceled, but let's just say this. Both him and Kyrie are bringing a perspective about a certain group in America
Mm-hmm.
that for years have governed a lot of things. And black politicians, white politicians, black entertainment, all of these people are governed by it. Why? Because dollars speak more to us than righteousness.
Mm.
Let me say it again.
Mm.
Mm.
Dollars speak more to us than
Mm.
righteousness and
Mm.
what is justice. Now, I don't know if this is a Christian show or not, but I've got to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is justice.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is righteousness. And so whenever you take upon the same yoke and say, hey, I'm Christian, that means I've got to take on a justice. Watch this. Even if it goes against my family structure, even
Mhm.
if it goes against my loyalty, I've got to take justice at any cost. Meaning, my best friend can do something, but guess what I got to tell him? Yo, you're about to get justice for what you did. And
Mm.
because the reality of it is justice doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a shape, it doesn't have a size, it doesn't have a creed. It is just justice. Let
Mm.
me put it in layman's terms. Justice is right and wrong.
Wrong.
And
Mm-hmm.
part of the problem with our society is when you start talking right and wrong, black and white, this is what we say. Everything ain't black and white. Some stuff is gray. No, it's gray because we made it gray. But if
Mm.
we
'Cause
stuck
it's
to the
murky.
root, yeah, if we stuck
Mm-hmm.
to the root or to the confines of what it was, it would have never went gray. So I'll end and just say both of them are bringing some black and white perspectives to us that I don't think America is ready to receive, because it starts cutting off dollars from our pockets.
I love it. Well, let me say, God runs my channel, so definitely. My channel is all about education, elevation, and entertainment. It's about changing the narrative when it comes to Black people and showing a different version of us. That's what this channel is all about. There's so much going on social media and the news where Black folks are looking raggedy and looking bad and stereotypical and all of these things. So this channel, I bring something different to change the narrative that we can have these conversations. We do have voices and opinions. We do mention God 10, 20, 30 times, one time, whatever it is, because a lot of the subjects, how can you even, you know, not,
Yeah.
for a lot of different subjects. Um, so he's always in the room. So I just wanted to say that. And I also wanted to change the narratives with, and I do this often. I have reverends and pastors often on my show because sometimes people think you're monolithic. just one way, and you don't have an opinion. You don't know about pop culture. You don't know about this or that, and the only thing you can talk about is the Lord says, and they think that there's no other opinion.
Can,
It's different from what governs your life and who governs your life to
can,
also your voice and your life experience.
can I tell you something, Kendall?
Uh-huh.
These three men on this panel, they gonna blow that stereotype.
I believe that. You know why? You know what though? But you know why? When you already know, Leroy, how I roll. We've been doing this thing for years. I've known you for years, so you already know. So when you said them, I knew that they was gonna have an opinion. I knew that because you already know. Like, why have a panel if everybody feels and says the same thing? Like, that's boring. So I already knew, and I trust your judgment by now. But Pastor Cedric, you want to chime in on Kanye West?
Yeah, I mean Kanye. I used to think Kanye was crazy as all get out, but I've sat back and I've watched Kanye, and I think the thing is, and my three brothers said it. Pastor Dwayne said a very key thing. We're living in a society to where now everybody gets offended by everything. If you're not ready to dance to the tune that is playing, then you get canceled. Wherein we also have to realize Kanye's been in a different position than any one of us has. He's been on the other side. So if society is a stage play, Kanye's been on the other side behind the curtain. So he's seen the production team, he's seen the lighting team, to have conversations, and so he understands this thing is a systematic depreciation of the value of who we are as Black people. That's why Donald is saying going to Ghana. See, they realize, they understand their value. Their value has not been a ticket price that's been put on a people based on the value that the seller wants to have. So we don't know our true price because we've always looked at the ticket price of the seller. We live in a society to where we sit underneath the oppressor. The oppressor dictates to us how we value ourselves.
We're looking at the net. We're not looking at that gross, that original price.
Come on now. We're looking at the net, and we're happy with this net. That's why I think that at the end of the day, we as a group of people, we have money, but we don't have true wealth. Because the money that we have and the wealth that we think we have is paper thin. We don't have any deep-rooted generational wealth that can carry us if we decided to disengage from this society, because so much of what we do and who we are is connected to this society.
Yeah.
Kanye is saying, and I go back to what Dr. Leroy said, and I push back on a little bit. I think Kanye knew very well what he was doing, because Kanye is
calculated.
Right. And when you're dealing with a genius folks do things that are abstract. But I think he did what he did, and from a calculated perspective, knowing the simple fact that I will walk away, Dave Chappelle, I'll walk away from the bag just to make a point that you can't control me.
It's so funny.
It's a beautiful thing. You can walk away from all of it and say, I don't need none of this, because as long as I have myself, and I'm going to go with the Beyonce tune, you can't break my soul. I got my soul intact.
That song gives me life, because those words right there, there's something else. But it's so funny that you mentioned Dave Chappelle, because after church, we were sitting in the lobby. It was three of us. And we started talking about Kanye West. And one of my friends brought up Dave Chappelle. We had this exact conversation again today about Dave Chappelle, how everybody thought. I didn't think it. I really didn't, because I get it. Everybody thought he was crazy because he walked away from that much money in a hit show. But Dave Chappelle was like you just said, you ain't getting my soul. You ain't breaking my soul. I'd rather go on over to Ohio and build my life get my mental health together, get my soul together. Let me regroup, rebuild. Let me get back to family. And then I'll see y'all when I see y'all. And then
Yeah.
he came back and killed it. He made more money than he would have even made before he left. But it takes a strong individual to say, I'm in this, but I'm not of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can I add something here
Sure,
that I
sure.
think is important, right? We're talking about the collective,
Mm-hmm.
right? We function by, or should function by, a principle of Ubuntu, right? That I am because my brother is.
Mm-hmm.
I am not my brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
am
am
my
my
brother,
brother. Mm-hmm.
right? And so what would have happened, Kendall, if at the moment Adidas says, we pulling your contract? What if every black man said, and
Yep.
we pulling from y'all?
Yep.
You got one shot to mess with
Yep.
my boy.
Yep.
That's Ubuntu, right?
Yep.
The principle is, you messing with him, you mess with all of us. We
Yeah.
ain't buying another thing Adidas.
Yeah.
But what they count on is the fact that we don't have that kind of we
Yep.
are the largest purchasing block
Consumers.
around. We
You
are the
talking,
consumers,
Donald? You
right?
talking, Donald?
So at the moment we decide that we're not going to purchase a thing, if we ever understood our power as it relates to being consumers,
Yep.
we would
Power of
shift
the
the
dog.
entire narrative. But we
Yep.
so busy saying, I don't like what Kanye said.
Yep.
Kanye don't like what you said either.
Yep.
I don't like everything that another brother says, but
Yeah.
I value my brother. Here's my last point. I have learned, Pastor said, how to respect a man even when his behavior ain't respectable.
Wow.
Mm.
I know how
Mm.
to respect that man because
Mm.
he's a man,
Because he's
Right.
a man.
right?
Mm.
Even when his behavior isn't respectable. You can't change the brother's behavior
Mm.
if you
Mhm.
don't loan him respect on the front end.
Love
Mm.
that.
Right? So I think a part of what we've got to get to
Wait,
is
I want you to say that again because I think that was so important. Loan him respect because people say they have to earn it
earn
or they
respect.
have to, right. But I love that loan respect, meaning, you know what? I'm going to give it to you and I'm
Absolutely.
allow you to go through what you have to go through and show what you have to show, but I'm still going to loan it to you because you are worthy of that, even if you
Absolutely.
mess up.
Absolutely. Dr. Joy DeGruy writes a book, Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
right? In that book, she argues that Black men are bankrupt as it
Talk,
relates
Donald.
to our sense of self esteem,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have no self esteem at all.
Mm.
So,
Woo.
all of the killings that we're seeing, Wilmington, Baltimore, LA, right? What we're seeing are Black men who are demanding respect from another brother because he doesn't have a sense of self concept.
Yeah.
But I have never, let me tell you this, I've never been disrespected by a brother I've respected. He
Mm.
can be a gangbanger, he can be on the block, he can be
Mm.
selling. It doesn't matter. If I get if I give him this, he like, what's up, man? Right? It doesn't, he'll interrupt whatever he's doing because all a man wants is respect. It's
Yeah.
funny that we live in a society that will give sisters love regardless of whatever they do, but brothers
Donald.
earn
Respect.
respect.
Donald,
Because
We
talk.
gotta
men
earn
want to be
respect, but we
respected and
give
women
sisters
want to be
love.
loved. Right. Because women want to be loved and men want to be respected. So I
Absolutely,
got it. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
but
So
but but hold on. But did you hear what he said though? Because
Yes, I heard
we
it.
gotta own in on that. What he's
Yeah.
saying is women give it regardless
Regardless.
right,
Yeah.
of having any context to that woman. They just give it. Where men, we have been taught to give it predicated upon
absolutely,
this value system of, hey, it's got to be like this before I can respect you.
absolutely.
And Donald, you're speaking my language because you know my number one rule in life. I met Donald like in the last couple years, but in first meeting him, what did I do? Did I not give you respect?
Absolutely.
Because I have a motto that if I respect a man coming in the door, we can have a conversation about everything else. And then we can come to the place where we're vulnerable and say, hey, bro, like I didn't make all the right decisions over here, or I didn't do that. Our problem is we're teaching men how to respect predicated upon what they know, but we're teaching women how to love predicated upon what they don't know.
See, I didn't know that men weren't, because I don't see that with women. Like you just said, I don't see that, but I didn't even know that about men, that you guys decide who you want to respect or not.
yes.
So you just taught me something, because I didn't know, because it always seems like men are smooth and easy with it. You know what I mean? And sometimes it seems like the women are more layered and complicated when it comes to giving their love to another sister. It seems like women will give their love to another brother before they will give it to another sister. So you just gave me a whole different perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's one to wear in too, Kendall. When we how we are in society is so complicated, because first of all, this is not our home. This ain't where we're supposed to be. We've been taught something that we're trying to live in that's not natural for us.
Talk, sir.
So, like Dwayne is saying about Donald, I've known Donald the last couple of years now, and to be totally transparent, I've had people that have told me stuff about Donald, but I was taught by a man, my father, who said, "What has he done to you?"
Yeah.
And so for me, Donald is good because he ain't done nothing to me.
Yeah.
He's done to bless and be supportive
Yeah.
and be there. So what others may say, that's your experience. That's your living.
Right.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
But you got to respect me for walking with this dude, because he ain't done what you said he's done. And so if anything, can we just come together and eat this fried chicken and this mac?
Because everyone deserves their own experience of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where we got to get to in this society. That's one of the things as once you move to Kyrie that I had issues with some of the guys in the NBA.
Yeah.
Don't talk down about that man.
Yeah.
Publicly, support him publicly, and privately have that conversation.
Privately pull his coattail, and that's how it should be. Like, I have so many different things, so we're going to expand, but we're going to keep some of the answers short for some, so we can get through them, because we can really do a whole show with each subject. We really could. But I want you to you can start with continue with Kyrie, Pastor Cedric, because it's so true. And as a community, I think that's how we need to operate. Is everything doesn't have to be on blast. Cancel, on blast, put you on Front Street. You're supposed to check your brother or sister behind closed doors. You know, I hate when married people or relationships do that. I hate when, everybody doesn't need to know the inner makings of what's going on. And you don't need to come online and say, I just checked Kyrie.
Right.
But talk more about that. And then I'll go over to Dwayne, then Leroy, and then Donald.
No, I mean, I think with Kyrie, with Kyrie is a different dude, from the simple fact that I've been tracking Kyrie, and Kyrie is someone, and I don't want to highlight this as a big positive or a negative for others. Kyrie has a father that he's very close to. Mm-hmm. And so that brother's structured a little bit differently than some of the other folks that may be playing in the NBA. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
But Kyrie has come to a point of enlightenment in his life. And when you become enlightened, you begin to say things that are speaking against the structure. And so because he's not dancing the tune that everybody else dances, he's looked at as being an outlier.
Yeah.
So no, we're not in the fields picking cotton. They just changed the game and called it the NBA and the
NFL. Now, if you're just tuning in, you need to comment. I see some people in here. You need to comment. You need to subscribe. You need to like. You need to share. But most importantly, you need to get with this conversation. So if you don't know what's happening with Kyrie Irving, he posted a video. Right. He reposted a video. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. He posted the same video that other folks posted. But he got suspended. He got ridiculed. He lost money. because he reposted this video. So that's we're talking about with Kyrie. If you're just tuning in and you don't understand why we're speaking of him, but please continue.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Kyrie's just enlightened and how Kyrie is operating. He moves different, and he understands that this is not the end all be all for me. This is something I'm talented enough to do, but it does not control me, and that's the difference. We as a people got to get to the point where we understand that. And because my brother Pastor Dwayne went there, I'm going to go there too. Scripturally, it's the whole model of you can be in community, but you don't have to be of community.
Mm-hmm.
So Kyrie realizes he plays in the NBA, but the NBA is not him.
Mm-hmm. So he's his own man.
Is right. What he addresses, what he talks about, he's his own man. And my issue is some that came out and talked against him, going back to what Donald said, they should have loaned him some grace. They should have loaned him some support so that we understand that. Because like he said, if all the brothers in the NBA stop playing because of Kyrie, there will be no NBA. Yeah. Understand your power. We got to get back to understand our power as a people and move like that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you just said a mouthful, because what I don't like is when somebody is supporting you in the dark. They're calling you like, man, I agree with what you did. I mean what you said.
Oh, you talking
you know
tonight.
What?
You talking
I don't want to say nothing publicly because that's going to mess up my money. I got my whole family to feed. You know, my whole family is on my back. But you know what? I wish I could have, but I can't. But I support you. Anything you need. We need to be out loud and say, hey, listen up. I'm with him. And it takes a bold, just like with Kaepernick.
Yes.
You know, it's the same thing. People wanted to jump on the bandwagon 2 years, 3 years after, because they weren't bold enough to stand for something or kneel for something. And that man still ain't playing. He still ain't playing. You know, so then you started to see people shift publicly, but I guarantee you there were more behind closed doors supporting him. Who was next? Who did I say? Leroy, about Kyrie. And I wanted to also bring something up after about Kyrie too. And it shows to what Pastor Cedric's saying, what type of brother he is and how he did something amazing on the low. And someone saw it on the low and brought it to the forefront. But go ahead, Leroy.
Well, here's the thing about Kyrie, about Dave Chappelle. Two of the recent ones that you all mentioned, but I'm gonna take y'all back, and I don't know if everyone has saw the movie Ali, with Will Smith. There's a point in the movie where Elijah Muhammad's son, after Muhammad Ali got the fight with George Frazier, after he had done his time in prison, Elijah Muhammad's son comes to Ali in the locker room or in the room after the fight, and after it wasn't it wasn't the Joe Frazier fight. It was the fight. He had just finished the fight, but he was trying to get the Joe Frazier fight, and Elijah Muhammad's son says, Muhammad, let's get this done. Let's get this, fight done, and do this, that, and the other. And they're in a dialogue, and Muhammad Ali turns to him and he says, I've already got that done. And he's like, well, can we do this or do that? And he said, Muhammad Ali told him, he said, the nation doesn't own me. He said, nobody owns me. Mm-hmm. And this is a 20, maybe 26-year-old Muhammad Ali. Mm-hmm. And I watched an interview with Muhammad Ali with and I forgot, this was back, he was 25 years old, and this was just before I think he was about to go to prison. And the interviewer was asking him about, you could, he said something like, you could easily leave and go to another country, and not have to face the prison time. And Muhammad Ali said no. Mm-hmm. He said no. He said I wouldn't be a man if I didn't face up to what I said, mm-hmm. and ran away.
Mhm.
To me, he showed he was never afraid to pay that cost that I was talking about earlier. He was willing to do it. Kyrie is coming into an understanding. I think he's maybe 30. I think he's in his early 30s or maybe late 20s. So he's coming to learn a lot of the things that I believe each of us on this panel have learned some years ago and have that understanding. So he's trying to figure this out. Like Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle figured it out.
Wow.
If I take that $50 million deal, what is it? What are they going to be able to do to me? And so many of us, in our community, we get so caught up in the shiny object. It's shiny, it's bright,
yeah,
and that's what we've been taught by the media to want. The shiny object. Not understanding the underlying behind the shiny object and what comes with it. It's almost like, and I'm not a fisherman. I don't go fishing, but I know you got to put the bait on the line.
Yeah,
and throw it in the water.
Come on.
And the fish see the bait, but what they don't see is the hook.
Come on.
That the bait is connected to. And once they get on the hook to grab the bait, i.e. the shiny object, then they know, hey, I've got you.
Mm-hmm.
I now can control you because I can always use the threat of taking it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get caught up in it. But if you can't hold that threat over me, and I'm not afraid of what you may take from me, because that's what Muhammad Ali said. He said, take the belt away from me. Take it. That doesn't make me who I am. So he diffused the threat that they thought they had over him, and Kanye as well too. But Kyrie, his is a little different because, like I said, he has to understand, the ripple of what he's doing, because it's not just about him.
Mm-hmm.
It's about those that are that are with him, that committed to come with him to Brooklyn. There's a lot that's tied into that.
Yeah.
So he has to understand that there is a ripple to it, and who that ripple can affect or does affect. And Kendall, you mentioned something too about the people behind the scenes, making that phone call. Hey, bro, I'd like to, I'm there with you, but I just can't be out front with you. And that's to each his own.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you do, but I also know too with that there are some that they understand their role. You talk about it, we talk about it all the time. Clarence Avon, he didn't have to be out front.
No, but he was pulling the strings. He was
pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's the thing that we have to understand. Even with whether it was Dr. King, it was Malcolm X, they were the mouthpieces for what was going on. And there were people who were behind the scenes. I don't need you to be out. I don't need everybody to be out front.
Mm-hmm.
I need people that can understand their role and what we're trying to do. Now that part of it is a big piece of that. Yeah, I don't want you calling me on the phone talking about, I'm right there with you, but when the rubber meets the road, I'm looking around and like Peter, I don't know who you talking about.
Well, Leroy, a subject that we always talk about, Monique. To me, what's the difference? What's the difference?
Well,
Because me and Leroy talk about Monique, like, what's the difference if you reach your obligation? We're not talking about how she went about it and handled it after, But it almost is the same thing when you decide to walk away and you decide to fight back with the powers that be. It's the same type of thing where you say, you know what, this is what I'm not going to do. This is what I am going to do. And I don't think anyone, whether it's the entertainment industry, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, whether it's Hollywood, I don't think that people like independent thinkers and people that do things the way they want to do it, because they're so used to everybody drinking the Kool-Aid and everybody is walking, whatever you like, what do I need to do to get to this level? And when you are your own person, an independent thinker, they're like, like, wait a minute, how are you walking in this zigzag when everybody is walking straight in a line? But so what do you think, Dwayne, about Kyrie? And then we're going to move right along on this list.
I don't really have much to add because I think we're all saying the same thing. The only thing that I would like pretty much highlight is the fact that Pastor Cedric, man, you I mean, listen, you kind of go in there with Donald now, man. You guys are amazing. Of course, Leroy, you're already in there, Dr. Leroy. But I got to add this just as a caveat. The effects of slavery have cause for dysfunction
Speak
in
on
the
it.
future.
Mm.
The effects of slavery have caused the effects in the future. Now, I say that from a place of I know we can grow, I know we can do better, I know we can overcome it, but I say that from also from a place of mentally, right? And when we really look at like, because I love your point, madam, I love your point when you say, hey, people calling you talking about I'm with you privately. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get those kind of phone conversations, I just be like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, and I hung up because the reality of it is I don't need you privately. I need you publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And I am afraid that people who only support you privately and not publicly because it tells me, you know, I got to be honest. Can we bring back the pride of black people?
Woo!
And I'm not talking about the pride of like life. I'm talking about the kind of pride proud where we stood with each other. Like, because how do Martin Luther King and how do Malcolm X and how do Harriet Tubman lead people, but they get people to see their confidence that's inside of them. They get people, watch this, Donald, they get people to see their value. Can we bring back the days where we get people to see their value? Because part of our struggle and problem is the effects of slavery, aka poverty, has allotted us this thought process that because I grew up in poverty, the only thing I'm worried about is posturing. Because I grew up in poverty, the only thing I'm worried about is posturing. So give me money so I can posture and show y'all that I got Gucci.
And thinking that's the source. But thinking that is the source.
It's the source.
But
what Donald and what Donald is talking about is like, yo, let's bring back the days where like, so you cut Kanye off? No problem. Guess what? Nobody is buying Adidas from here on out. Nobody is buying Nike from here on out. No, but we can't do that because part of the problem is we're governed by the posture of where we're trying to position ourselves. And all we're trying to do is position ourselves in this false sense of wealthiness, when really it ain't wealthiness, it's materialism. Like, we don't want wealth because wealth speaks to the totality of who we are. We don't want wealth. What we want is materialistic. And I'll leave you here, Pastor Cedric. I feel me revving up over here. I feel me revving up over here. Because watch this, y'all. Watch this, and I'm gonna shut up and we can move on. Paul said, I've learned to be content with the state that I'm in. Hold up, wait a minute. Donald, Pastor Cedric, he never said that I've learned to be complacent. Wow. He said, I've learned to be content. Part of our problem as African American people sometimes is that we don't like contention. We don't like being content because being content means that I fell into a place of complacency. When the reality of it is, being content is, no, I'm comfortable right now with where I am, but I'm expecting to grow more.
Yeah.
Complacency means I don't want to grow no more. That's it. I want to stay right here. I don't want to move past this point. And the reality of it is we've got to learn how to get content. If they never give us another dollar, if they never support another thing, if they never do this for our community, guess what? We're going to do it for ourselves because we're content without having materialistic stuff in order to see the bigger picture.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because real change agents, they didn't care about none of that. Their eye was focused. They were content. They were okay with what they were doing, whether it was a little or a lot, and they were making change quietly or boldly. They were doing it. And I totally agree. And then we're going to move on. And somebody wanted to join this conversation. So we're going to do that a little bit. People are loving this conversation. And thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in live, whether you're watching right now or the playback. Do me a favor, please subscribe, put your comments in there as you're doing. I see you, and I'll try to put up as many as I can. Donna, what do you have to say about Kyrie? And then we're just going to go down the list because this is a powerful conversation. We might have to do a part 2 for sure. Leroy already know how. Leroy, you already know how these panels get.
I do want to get us away from the either or, and hopefully we can get to and both.
Yeah.
Right. It's not whether or not a person either supports me in public or supports me in private. It's and both.
Yes.
I grew up, Kendéll. I grew up in the Baptist church. Let me tell you what I know. Yes, I did. Right, Pastor Dwayne. I grew up in the Baptist church. And growing up in the Baptist church, they would applaud on Sunday, but it was the private meetings they had over the phone that ruled the day. So you can
Let me make sure your mic is on. Let me make sure your mic is on.
Literally have public celebrations, and behind the scenes, those public celebrations don't really mean a whole lot. For example, whoever came to say it and said, "Hey, you got to watch that Donald Morton thing," said if he wasn't a grown amen, not amen, grown amen. Right? If he wasn't a grown man, could have said, "Hey, Don, I could have never heard from Say It again." Said, I ain't gonna rock with him either, based on what somebody told him. It's the private conversations. Sometimes we do a lot of public stuff for the exact same reasons that Pastor Dwayne talked about posturing, right? I've laid on the floor, on the ground doing die-ins. I've marched. I've led our city. But I can tell you it was that got me private meetings with the governor. So it wasn't the die-in by itself wasn't enough, right? It was the marches of King that led to presidential meetings. True. It was the presidential meetings behind the scenes that really shifted things that needed to happen. So we got to have and both. When both of those things are in their proper place and proper perspective, I think we win.
I think that was perfect. And it's so true because everything, the support can be out, but everything can't be out because you got to strategize and plan. And sometimes you can't be doing that in public. You got to keep that under wraps with that. And I just wanted to talk about another hot button topic. Shanquella Robinson. And in 1988, my cousin passed away similar in a hotel room, except we don't know what happened, but she was with friends. So this touched me in a way where certain things I can't watch. But for those that don't know, she went on a trip with her friends to Mexico, and they called home and said that she had food poisoning when her mother was trying to reach her. Her mother just got off the phone with her a couple hours before. She hadn't heard from her daughter. It was odd. She called her friends in Mexico that went with her, one of her best friends that was at her house all the time, eating the food, kikiing with the family, was one of her closest friends there. And I say friend loosely, right? So they say that she had food poisoning, but somehow, because of a parent who wants answers, they're going to find out. So footage showed that they beat her to death, breaking her neck, I believe her back, and so on and so on. 25 years old, lost her life because she called somebody a friend. My condolences to her family. I pray that they get justice. I pray that her family has peace and God's covering all around them. But Kyrie Irving, secretly, he didn't do it behind closed doors. He donated $65,000 to the funeral. Whatever they needed in North Carolina, he gave it. He did that privately. So we can do some things privately when we're not trying to get the glory, because we already know who gets the glory. So he did that. So with Pastor Cedric talking about the type of man he is and the type of upbringing he had and the type of human being he is, he donated that. He didn't screenshot it to post it to the world. Someone else saw it and did that. So that's the kind of man we're talking about here. He didn't know that woman. He didn't know that family. But when you have empathy, sympathy, and compassion as a human being, and you have overflow and excess, then you give. Now, we are still talking about the same Kyrie Irving who lost all of that money during his suspension, where he still said, I'm going to give to her. So rest in paradise, and again, healing to the family of Shanquella Robinson. Oh, child, I don't even know if I want to talk about Herschel Walker, but let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Whoever wants to go first, or whoever.
Can I address the last story that you just talked about just really quickly?
Yes.
And please, y'all, don't indict me for this. One of the things that I think that I love church, and it's really good, and it's a great place. It is a great place. But one of the things that I kind of have my hangups about church sometimes is we spend a lot of time, and I got to be honest, this is just my perspective. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it's my perspective. We spend a lot of time sometimes in church talking about the major sins that exist, uh, uh, sexual sins, who you sleeping with, who you're not sleeping with, and I think all of that is important when you talk about preaching the gospel. However, my however is one of the major, biggest complexities inside of the church is the spirit of jealousy and envy. And we don't talk enough about that, and it scares me because this is exactly what this young lady went through.
And my cousin.
And your cousin. This young lady and your cousin experienced a level of jealousy and envy that some would depict Cain and Abel, right? And they just weren't siblings; they were just friends, right? It really irks me to a tad bit because you would be surprised how many people are struggling more with jealousy and envy and low self esteem than they're struggling with sexual sins. And I know some people would disagree, but let's take a step.
No, I agree, especially with social media.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Let's take a survey. There are more people struggling with envy, jealousy, and low self-esteem than they are people who are suffering with, who they sleeping with, who they not sleeping with, right? And I think the reality of it is we don't like to go to those kind of conversations because part of it is then we start to address the people that's been loyal to our ministry for years. Some of the
Ooh.
most loyal people to our ministry are some of the most jealous,
Ooh.
envious. I got to get out of this because I'm gonna get in trouble.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get out of this, and we
Ooh.
don't like those kind of
That's a subject. That's a whole show in
we don't
itself.
like those. We don't like these kind of conversations because it slaps us in the face. These kind of conversations slap us in the face, and I have multiple friends around the world who are dealing with this spirit right now in their local church. They're serving. They're in the right position. They're in the right place. They got the right attitude. It ain't them. It's the people. And it's all, watch this, and it's all over the fact that I couldn't come up with an idea that you came up with. So these people and those people who did that to your niece, they took this lady out. I'm gonna tell you, they probably took this lady out because she looked better than them, or because she was making more money than them,
or because she seemed like she was pleasant and a good person. How about something simple like that?
Let's go.
This girl seemed like she was a great person.
Let's go.
A person whose family loved them. Somebody might not have a family who loved them.
She had favor. Look at Joseph Brothers. So I think while talking about those sexual immoralities are important, we spend a lot of time on those in the black culture of church. And I think it's just because we're afraid sometimes to talk about that spirit. Because I almost would say, let's take a survey, a quiet survey. I always say, I wish I could hypnosis people and really take a survey, because that's when you're going to get the truth. Majority of the people are dealing with that spirit of envy and jealousy, and why them and not me, and why him and not me, and why her and not me. We got to attack that stuff in the church, because when we attack that stuff in the church and in society, we break some of these low self-esteem spirits who their parents did not speak into them prior to them walking in the earth. And I'm gonna stop right there.
Woo! We're just going. Let's just pause for a moment. Let's take a deep breath. You know, all y'all good church folk out there. You know, did you feel it? Did you feel it in your throat? Did you feel it in your throat? All right, and thank you for that, Dwayne. And I totally agree with you, especially when it comes to social media. And now people are seeing material things and seeing what's happening and what God is doing in someone's life. And so many people want to get on. And what about me? And you know, yes, I totally agree.
You just hit it. Say that again. What about me? That what about me spirit is producing more jealousy and envy in our society and in the church than somebody. Because believe it or not, a lot of women, they ain't just throwing their bodies around. And believe it or not, some men not either. Because it's too much now. We get it. Like it's diseases out here. So we ain't doing that spirit though. That jealousy and envy spirit is big in this world.
Yeah. Yep. And it's woo. All right. It's ooh. Yeah, that's a whole, that right there is a whole thing. And not realizing and not understanding that those people, whatever those people you think they have, they're not making it happen. Ain't no such thing as self-made and all that foolishness what people say. It's not. But we're gonna move on, because that's the whole thing. And y'all out there, if you're watching, just be grateful. If you focus on what God has blessed you with thus far and before, and just be grateful, because how can you live in a place of envy and jealousy if you are grateful? People are becoming ungrateful because they don't have what someone else has or what they think they should have. But yeah, all right. Herschel Walker, Donald. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's my God.
Okay.
And here's why.
In politics, in politics, or football, or human beingness. Which one?
Here's my deal. Most of us, like, I don't play politics with regard to personality. I think politics and personality has gotten Black America in a place that is very, very difficult to dig ourselves out of. So I'm not going to. I don't vote for a person. I vote for a platform.
Yes.
I vote for the things that I believe in. You can give me a chimpanzee playing the harp, It don't matter to me. I want to know what he represents. So what we've done as Black folk is we have voted personality for a number of years, and it hasn't gotten us anywhere.
Talk
I don't
Donald.
really uh, subscribe to Herschel Walker. I don't think he's eloquent. I don't think he speaks well. He's on camera dancing or whatever the dude was doing said. But that ain't my twist. I know Dr. Raphael Warnock is eloquent. He's
Yes.
brilliant,
Yes.
incredibly smart guy. I just don't agree with his policies,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're finding out is that there is a large swath, particularly of Black males, who
Mm.
have moved over to the Republican Party. We are more conservative than we would like to admit.
Did you
So
say
Mm.
even
males or did you
Black
say men?
male,
Male.
Black males,
Not
Black
men.
male,
Male.
men,
Okay.
Black men, because here's the deal. Black men are far more conservative as it relates to taxes. I
Mm-hmm.
talk to the boys on the block and I ask them this question. Hey, my man, if the more money you make, the more money they take was a person. If the more money you make, the more money they
That's
take
good,
was a
Donald.
person, then that's the Democratic Party. Now I'm an independent because there's some things on the Republican side I can't agree with, right? There's some things on the Democratic side I can't agree with. But when it comes to the more conservative ideas, no one and this is the truth that we don't have time to talk about today. But let me tell you this. When is the last time anyone has spoken to Black male issues?
Right.
Black male issues, the things around child support, the things around education, the things
Yeah.
around mass incarceration.
Yeah.
No one's talking about, even when they started
Talk
talking
Donald.
about, Donald, what is your position on abortion? My position is, why don't I have a say?
Mhm.
Mm.
Don't keep telling me that it's her
Mhm.
body, because if it's
Mhm.
her body, what if I want to keep the child?
Talk
She
Mhm.
has
Donald.
all the say.
It takes two.
Mhm.
Talk
So
Donald.
no one is it takes two. So no one is addressing the Black male issue. The
True.
Democrats are addressing the
True.
sisters and the more liberal policies. We can't rock with the Republican Party because we believe they're racist. So here's the game that's being played.
True.
The Republicans say, let's not pay attention to Black America. They ain't gonna vote for us anyway. The Democrats say, let's not pay attention to them because we already got their vote. It's not
Speak, sir.
until we start rolling down the middle as
Speak, sir.
independents, which is what Malcolm X suggested that we do. Roll
Speak.
down the middle as independents and force
Talk
both sides to have a
Donald.
conversation with us so that you can now vote according
That's why I
to the
love
best
this cat.
interests of Black males. I'm tired of us voting for our sisters. I'm tired of us voting for the LGBTQIA plus community. When in the heck is anyone going to stand up from Black men and say, what are you doing for us?
Talk.
That is the reason why
I
the
ain't got nothing to say.
Republican
I
Party
agree with
has
that message right
some
there.
influence with regard to Black men because everybody else is ignoring us.
I agree with that message right there.
Woo! Did you hear? Did you hear? Let's just really pause on that for a moment
That's it.
because that's a totally different perspective than anyone has on Herschel Walker.
And I think it's a good
I must,
perspective, Kendall. It's
yeah.
a very, very good perspective. One of the things that the Donald Trump presidency taught me was we as a people are not monolithic.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we really don't have a voice in either space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the troubling part
Mm.
because Democrats will try to make it seem as if they are talking for us, but they're not.
Right.
What Democrats are really listening to, if I can say it here openly, they're listening to white women and white women issues, but then those white women are voting Republican.
Mm-hmm.
We're left out because we don't necessarily have, air quotes, a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
We do. But I also learned during the Trump presidency how many Black people were supportive, like Donald said, of his campaign, not the person. I remember my father telling me his retirement was the best it had ever been in the 4 years that Donald Trump was in office. I know guys who are small business owners who were loving Donald Trump because of the tax breaks they were getting, not the person, but his platform and what he was able to do while in office. And that's a
What
conversation
Donald just said. Yep.
that he just talked about. That's a conversation that we really need to have as a collective group of people, because that's when we really gonna see some change politically. We get
Good
off in
perspective. Good
personalities,
perspective.
personalities now.
Good perspective. Herschel Walker, Leroy, anything?
Well, here's my thing. When it comes to when it comes to government, and I'm going to say it like that from that perspective. When it comes to government, and there are many of us that say, um, I don't believe, that this person has my best interest. I don't believe that this person has my best interest. But what we don't come with are solutions and individuals who have your best interest. Now, Brother Don, you talked about our voice not being and our issues not being addressed. Here's the thing, I'm gonna go back to Dr. King in the movie Selma, when he had to have the conversation, the hard conversation with President Johnson at the time, and he's on the phone with him, and he's telling him, you've got to do something about what's going on. And President Johnson didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. But what Dr. King told him was, no, don't look to me to do it. You have the power to do it. So we have to understand that the people that are in these positions, we have to hold their feet to the fire. Whether we are the ones that elected them in office, or the ones who we weren't the ones who did elect them in the office, but they are the ones that are in office. And I will push back a little bit about this, that it is about the policies, because morality and policies go together to me. Because your morality, and we say that there should be the separation of church and state, but to me there isn't. People don't say, the people that are in office, a lot of the politicians, they are there, they are controlled by certain lobbyists that will feed their campaign and keep them in the office. So as long as they do what they're asked to do, and as long as they're benefiting those people that are there, they're good. That's what they're there to do.
Yeah.
And what I tell black people is we have to understand, we have to play chess, not checkers. Understand the bringing someone to the table, saying, you know what, here's someone that I can get behind and get others behind, to be able to put into the position that is going to be and look out for our best interest and our community. There's other communities do the very same thing.
So are you all saying that you would vote for Herschel Walker?
Without question.
And
I know I wouldn't. I'm not, because, and this is what I would ask Donald, and I want to ask him this, because you talked about Senator Warnock and his policies. What have you heard from Herschel Walker in regards to what policies he brought to the table that make you say that?
And I want to hear from Dwayne, because Dwayne has to leave too.
I don't have anything to say there,
Okay,
because I'm not familiar with them. So
okay,
I'm out of this debate. I'm in Maryland. So.
And if they're talking and you have to go, everybody say farewell for now. He'll be back for part 2. But Dwayne, thank you so much for your awesome input and your insight in a lot of these subjects. He already said he's down for part 2, so we will see you. But I have someone coming up that's going to fill in the gap. This is what brotherhood and sisterhood is about, filling in the gap. I have photographer and entrepreneur Hugh Williams. So one's going to come in and one's going to go out, and we're going to keep this conversation going. All right, Dwayne, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. All right, please continue asking the question, and welcome, Hugh.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome.
What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up?
Hugh, the fellas, Hugh. All right. All right, Leroy, go ahead. You were asking Donald.
Yeah, I asked him about Herschel Walker's policies and what his platform, because you mentioned platform. What his platform was.
The platform of the conservatives or the
No, not the conservative. I'm talking about I'm Herschel Walker.
His talking points are consistent with the conservatives.
Okay,
incredibly consistent, right? So and so are Dr. Raphael Warnock's positions, incredibly consistent with the more liberal side of the party. So I am a guy who believes in small government. I am a guy who believes in a flat tax, right? That everybody should be taxed equally. Just because you make more money doesn't mean you should be taxed more, right? I believe in the Second Amendment. These are very fundamental things that everybody on the right believes. So it's not my belief in Herschel Walker. It's my belief in what his platform is that I believe in. On the other side of the fence, I think that there isn't I think you talked about it a moment ago, bro, when you talked about not being able to segment and separate the morality piece, right? There is a side on the left that is just going too far left for me. But I will tell you that there are some things on both sides of the aisle that I just fundamentally disagree with. So when I go behind that curtain, I'm going behind that curtain to vote for the policy and the platform and not the personality. Because here's a part of where we have made a mistake. Boy, we crucified Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey ain't do nothing but have a meeting with Donald Trump, and we crucified him. It was right said who else was it?
Jim Brown. Jim Brown was one, I think. There was another entertainer, I think.
They crucified Chrisette Michele, singer Chrisette Michele, because she's saying they canceled her for years because she sang at the inaugural.
Yes. Correct. So my position is, I think we've got to, as a people, I don't have any problem with what wherever a person decides to vote, right? I think we've got to be greater students of the issues, because I will tell you that we are not. We are not students of the issues. Grandma voted Democrat. Her mom voted Democrat. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm going to pull the lever right down ballot. And it's the most dangerous thing in the world for Black folk, because when we start to look at what it has produced for us, we will find that it has produced very little for us. So my position is, I want us to be a place where we have opportunity, so that it has opportunity. I don't need to have the same amount of money that say it has. Matter of fact, I need, I do. I need to have the same amount of money that say it has, right? But if hey, Dr. McKenzie, if we don't have the same amount of money, but we're given the same opportunity, I'm good with that. Let me own my life. Let me run my life. Let me make the decisions that are going to be in the best interest of Donald Morton and Donald Morton's family. And as long as that's the issue, I don't need government to tell me what to do. I want the ability to run my own life. That is fundamentally what the right or the more conservative side of the aisle says.
They say it, but is that what has looked like? I'm not gonna say what it would look like. Is that what it has looked like? Don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me what you've done.
Oh, bro, but I think that can be said for both sides of the aisle.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Oh, absolutely.
Both sides of the aisle spit good games, spit bars until it comes time to produce. That boy Joe Biden, he's from Delaware. That boy said, we're gonna wipe out all student debt. And everybody said, yes. He said, yeah, all but the majority of it. we gonna leave y'all with the majority of it, right? So there are some things that again, it becomes us being students of the issues. We can't just listen to the campaign trail. We got to listen to what they've done in times past, right? We've got to be able to talk to different people. We've got to be able to sit down and understand what really impacts me. Have we read laws? All these things that politicians are saying they're going to do. We got to ask the question, can you really do that? I knew he couldn't wipe out debt like that. He just can't. There's too much to navigate to be able to honor that level of a promise. So when we're students of the issues, I think we'd be much better off. But I absolutely agree with you when you say they spit bars on both sides of the aisle. But when it's all said and done, we don't see a lot of consistency with what they say and what they do.
All right, so let's move on. We got 2 people that's going to vote for Herschel Walker and 3 people that may not, or 2 that may not. 1 may be a possibility, but we're gonna move on. All right. And Hugh was.
And here's the deal. I'm a citizen of Georgia.
That's what I was gonna say.
I actually have to.
I was gonna say I can't vote for him. Not. I'm sorry. When you watch and when you listen, sometimes 2 + 2 don't equal 4. But when he's talking, sometimes you don't understand. That's been the consensus for a lot of people. They don't understand what he's saying. They don't understand what he's about. So when Leroy asked that question, he asked that for everybody. What is he standing on? Because we don't know.
No.
So Hugh was listening to the conversation and wanted to be a part of it. And I want to talk about 1/3 of the rap group Migos, Takeoff. We've seen a lot of, he's a rapper. We've seen a lot of rappers in the last year pass away from senseless gun violence. Who wants to chime in first? If you don't know who Takeoff is in Migos, he just passed away in Houston. I don't want to say passed away. He was shot.
Right.
Just like Nipsey Hussle, we can go down the line. Young Dolph, a lot of these young rappers, we can go down the line. This has been huge in the rap community. I'm of an age where my rappers are still alive. We got Big Daddy Kane, we got LL Cool J, we got Run DMC. We have all of these amazing. We got Salt and Pepper, we got MC Light, Queen Latifah. They all still here. It's a different age now when it comes to hip hop, and maybe we can debate that one a little later at a different time, the differences with hip hop, but gun violence. And I just have a couple more questions because I don't want you guys here all night. And is everybody in agreement to possibly do part 2?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That would be
Okay. Okay, Hugh. So do you know the story? If not, we can talk about gun violence and what's happening in these streets when it comes to Generation X.
Well, I think it's a very complex issue because a lot of people are going to get mad at me when I say this, but I think there's a major part of it that has to do with the record companies. And I know that that's kind of a twisted way to look at it, but I feel like it's really ironic that a lot of these rap artists that have passed away, the record companies have reaped millions of dollars in insurance money once they've passed.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? And this is not anything that's, something I'm just saying off the top of my head. This is factual. It could be fact checked. Most of these rappers that have recently passed away,
Wow,
the record companies have had multi-million-dollar life insurance policies.
wow. I never even, wow.
So it just goes to reckon like, okay, what's really going on here? And then most of the rap artists that are out now, not saying that the rap artists of, yesteryear didn't have it hard, but these rap artists have it the worst because they're signing what's known as a 360 deal.
Mm-hmm.
Means that unlike when the rappers came out back in the day where, they had to pay back money off of their record sales, but they still was able to keep their money off of, their tours or things, different expenses in themselves. The record companies now take a piece of everything when you do that 360 deal, and they pretty much own you. So I just feel like the culture is different. I myself know of a person, which I won't name, that's in the record industry, that personally told me that record companies are making a lot more money off of these rappers now, because with this new trap music that they have out now, it's so um I mean, I don't want to say redundant, because I don't want to insult anybody that does this type of music, but it doesn't stand out enough that a rap artist can't be replaced. So therefore, don't give the artist the same sign-on bonuses that they did years ago. They may give a sign-on bonus of 20,000, 50,000. I mean, we're not talking deals where people are getting $500,000 or $1 million anymore. These people are getting pennies. And then even the deals that are written, once these people sign on, they don't own what they think they own. The record company may have their hands in where they live, or they may have their hands in the tour. So I just feel like it's way, 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 way more complex than just, the artists themselves. And then on the flip side, as far as what, I feel like where the artists have gone wrong is, I think that they have put too much of their life on social media. I mean, there's rap artists that have been on social media, and through social media, somebody may find out where they live or eating, and then they wind up getting shot. Not saying that it's their fault, but there's so many people that buy into this illusion, you know what I mean? And then, they trying to get to these rap artists or whatever, and everybody doesn't have good intentions. So of course, them posting certain things on social media, it makes them a target.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You do. That's a good point. Anybody else want to chime in? That's a good point.
Well, I'll say this, because I'm not I don't know the whole story behind the young man that you were talking about, but when you go back and you look at the hip hop industry, Kendall, the two names that you didn't mention, and you mentioned a lot of hip hop artists that are still around, but two of the biggest names that are not here
Tupac
directly because of violence and what was swirling around with them two. So it's nothing. So what we're seeing today is nothing new.
No, but
When it
you
comes
talking about, those are three different generations. So you got like Big Daddy Kane and them, then you got like Jay-Z and Biggie and Tupac, then you have this generation. So each time, you're absolutely right.
Right. I mean, the commonality between those is is just the violence and what he was saying about the technology has grown. I think with that, because you see now, here we go again, back to that shiny object. The industries, they put up the shiny objects for people to get caught up in, thinking that it's and Malcolm X said this years ago. He said the media is the most powerful tool that we have out here. It'll make the innocent, it'll make a victim seem like a perpetrator, and it'll make a perpetrator seem innocent. It's the power in that media that we see being used, and we have to understand how it's being used, where it's being used, and all of the narratives that are being thrown out there. Whether it's the young rappers that was recently killed, whether it was Nipsey Hussle who was killed, or whether it was Tupac and Biggie, back in the 90s. The narratives that are there to kind of get us to stay in a certain mindset. And Brother Don, I love his project, because it has to deal with us as men. Because if we understand who we are as men, it doesn't matter what generation you're talking about. those kinds of things will be curtailed. We're not going to totally. Are you going to totally eradicate it? Absolutely not. But what will happen is you will have a lot more men that are healed, a lot more young boys that are healed that become men and not males,
Yeah.
and aren't hurt and
Yeah.
don't have to be put back together, don't have to be patched up, the
Yeah.
holes don't have to be put in, all of those things. So we have to understand what's behind the killing. We've addressed it here tonight. It's the hurting. I truly believe it is the hurting. It's the hurting. It's us as a community not understanding, who we are. We talked about jealousy with the young girl that was killed. We're hurting.
Yeah,
We're hurting as a community.
You already know.
And
That's how
I
you
would
know,
This is that's my platform. That's what I talk
yeah.
about as a transformational life coach, but I'm a healing and aging coach, and really trying to help people heal. So
Wow.
many roots based off of reactions. My new book that's coming out in a few weeks is called "Excuse Me, Your Unhealed is Showing."
Ooh,
That's the name of it. So
I
when
need
you
30 copies.
yeah,
30 copies right off the bat.
excuse
thank
me,
you.
you're unhealed.
Man, I just
Yeah.
need off the bat. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
absolutely.
No, I appreciate it. And
Ooh.
it's just, even though that's my saying and I say that it's my book, it gives me the chills every time too. So I thank you fellas for that, because people are walking around in childhood bodies and they're adults. People are walking around where people think that's just their personality. No, it's their unhealed parts, and people are trying to figure this thing out, and it's showing up everywhere. It's showing up in relationships. It's showing up in family situations. It's showing up at work. It's showing up on social media. It's showing up everywhere.
Showing
And
up at church.
yeah, in
Oh,
church,
yeah,
come
yeah,
on,
yeah,
come
yeah.
on.
Come
And
on now.
that's the root.
Stop
Come
it! Stop it! You getting
It's
too
true.
you getting too close.
They telling the truth.
Say no, no.
It is.
Uh,
It is. Because at the end of the day, no matter where you are and no matter what your quote unquote title is, we all still have experiences. We all were children. We all have gone through some type of trauma, big or small. So it doesn't matter your profession and what you do. It's about your experiences. And if you lived this life, life is going to continue to life. And yes, God is going to continue to God all day long. But there's a gap in between before someone even finds God, before someone even acknowledges what's wrong. So I totally agree. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, Leroy, when it comes to people are hurting. This is my life's work. I totally agree with that. You can go ahead and continue. I want to hear from Donald. I want to hear from Cedric. I was going to introduce another title, but we could be here all night. We'll just save a subject. We can save it for part 2. But I want to hear what you fellas think about, the young rappers and gun violence and all of that. I want to hear what you all have to say. And thank you, Leroy. That was a very good perspective.
Say it. I'm gonna turn it to you, man. I'm good.
Okay.
No, I I mean, I think it's one. I think Hugh brought up a very valid point of there's a lack of control. And Donald works with this, and I'm working with him here in Los Angeles under the Remand Project, which is helping brothers find control over their emotions.
Yeah.
I'm about to fall out this chair.
It's one of those things to where
So good.
I fought in elementary school because I didn't know how to express myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It wasn't until my parents helped me get a counselor to where she could help me manage my anger that I began to really process what it meant to be a young Black male.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that wasn't an end all be all. That's a lifelong process. I had to learn how to be a husband. I brought a certain level of unhealthy manliness into my marriage. I had to learn how to be a husband for my wife.
Yeah.
Woo.
I had to learn how to be a father because I was coming out of, there were certain things I had to be, and you said it, Kendall, every along this journey of life, we got to learn how to be healed. I think one of the things that Hugh brought up is we have a lack of control over who we are. We operate in systems as Black people, as Black men, as Black women, under a system to where we fully never have control over what it is and who we are. And so these men and women that are rapping, man, they don't have control over their lives. They really don't. They think they do, but
Yeah.
they don't.
They do. Right.
But then others who see them don't have control over their lives, but they think that these artists have more control because they have more, Dr. Leroy, shiny things. And because they have these shiny things, jealousy intercedes. And now I want what they have. We as a people, as a collective community, we've got to get control over, first of all, ourselves, and then we can get control over who it is that we allow into our space, and to begin to really build. I'm on a mission, and I may not see it before my lifetime. I'm on a mission to generate another Tulsa. We need to be back to our own.
Leroy and I talk about that often too. Yes.
Back to our own space to where we are truly controlling some things. And yeah, it's rap and hip hop came into play. I'm talking way back when I was young. Africa Bambaataa.
Come on.
Come man, you ain't that old. What you know about Africa Bambaataa? You are not that old. You ain't but 25 years old. How you know about some Africa Bambaataa?
Oh, Leroy, the same way we know about it.
KRS-One. That's when rap.
Come on, KRS-One and the Boogie Down production. You
and Black Sheep. You know, these are.
D-Nice wasn't always a DJ for quarantine.
This is when that was the purest sense of hip hop. But what has happened is we lost control in that. See, Public Enemy got silenced. KRS-One got silenced.
Right.
Black people got silenced because they were putting too much positivity out there.
Because of foolish themselves.
To feed our spirit from a different space. So now we've lost control. And now hip hop, I don't even call it hip hop. I like Hugh said, it's trap music. And what they're singing about is a reality that they're not even living, but they're rapping about something that people like, and because they like it and they think they can get it, then they're going to take it. And there brings a certain level of violence in, because when you are not in control of yourself, the best way to get rid of something or to eliminate something is through killing it. Because I'm not what you are, I got to kill you. Well, that's a colonizer mindset. Because we live in these United States of America, which is, we're on land that has blood in the soil, because colonizers come in and they kill what they cannot control. Therefore, we have a spirit of colonizing, and we kill what we cannot be.
I'm about to jump out my seat. Man, oh man, let me tell you, there's so many things I have on this list I want to talk about, and we might have to wait to part 2. I wanted to talk about anxiety and depression.
Yes.
I want to talk about what you fellas think about ladies in rap today, some of the things they're saying and doing. I wanted to hear what you had to say. It's so many different things I have, even from something some may say as trivial to why the American Music Awards decided to cancel Chris Brown's performance to pay homage to Michael Jackson. And I also want to talk about, I don't know if you heard, but 2 years ago, comedian Positive Light that he is, Sinbad, suffered a stroke 2 years ago. And I remember when they put it on his Instagram and then it went dark. We didn't hear anything. Well, this week, a couple of days ago, it surfaced that he's still trying to walk. He's still trying to recover from the stroke from 2 years ago. He's still trying to get his speech back. And what I love about Black men, I mean, there's so many things that I love about Black men and the Black community. You know, we get a lot of slack about not being like other nationalities and how they work together and Black people don't do. But the comedy, and that's why I really wanted to have Troy on. Hopefully he can come back because he is a part of that. He's a very successful comedian. And Sinbad, the community from which he's from, that comedic community, everybody is reposting because there's a link to help give back to Sinbad. Sinbad did not ask for it. But the thing is, if you're a comedian and already in your life is on stage, your life is your voice for the most part, and you cannot provide for your family the way that you should. And I saw people like, well, where's his family? Blah, blah, blah. It was like 1%. And I'm like, this is the thing. If he was the breadwinner and everybody is working, it's been 2 years. They've been holding him down for that long, but anybody's pockets will be stretched in that light. So I love the fact that they're rallying around him to raise money, and they're talking about brotherhood and they're talking about taking care of our own. I don't know if you all heard this story. It's recent. What do you think about that? I see Donald, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah.
And we love Sinbad. Everybody loves
we
Sinbad.
absolutely love Sinbad. I don't know any person, Kendéll, that would say they don't like Sinbad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at funerals, Dr. Leroy, they say, you know, there wasn't one person that could ever say anything bad. And everybody's looking around like, yeah, that's not true. I got something bad to say about it right now. Right? But the Sinbad dude, he has kept his life
Mm-hmm.
out of any negativity. I don't know anything against him or about him that is negative. And I think it goes back to what you said, right? Let's support that brother. Um, you know, I don't I by the grace of God, I've not had a stroke, you know, and I can't imagine the weight of an entire family because you're the successful one. Friend of mine, she's actually my cousin, Tam calls it the black tax.
Yep.
Right. So having the responsibility of caring for everyone, everybody's looking for you and looking to you to be able to provide, I think is a tremendous burden. And anything I did not know about the call to help him. But
Yeah.
let me say this: as a guy who survived prostate cancer 8 years ago.
I'm a cancer survivor too. Oh my. As of
Yeah,
last year.
yes, congratulations.
Congratulations to you. To
Thank
God be
you.
the glory. Whew.
We have to take care of our bodies, y'all. My
Yeah.
mom says to me all the time, "Hey, son, we never know what's going on in these bodies. We
Yep.
don't, right?" And so we got to eat properly, all
Yep.
that hog maw and scrapple and all that stuff. Hey, Dr. McKenzie, stop playing, man. On them hog maws
You just made my stomach hurt.
and
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody, look, Thanksgiving is coming up. You already know somebody got it cooking right now on the pot.
somebody
On
got
the
to cook it
stove.
right now. And it's the slave meal. We were forced to eat
Come on.
the leftovers.
Come on.
Right?
That is one of the subjects I have. I swear to you. So go
Absolutely.
ahead. That's
So
one of,
we've got to do better as it relates to eating properly. We've got to do better with regard to our mental wellness. We got to do better as it relates to exercise. Man, we can't think that this overweight look that we got is cute. That stuff is killing us, man. And you know, we it's killing us. And so, you know, I pray for that brother. I'm going to donate to that brother. I'm gonna look for the link. I'm gonna donate.
the link is and I'll tell everybody. So if you want to, even if you have $5, because he does seem like the type of dude that would do it for somebody else
Absolutely.
without a
Absolutely.
heartbeat. So
Absolutely.
it's the journeyforward.life.
The journey forward life.
Yeah. www. Yeah, in the beginning. But has anybody else? And thank you. That was well said, Donald. And I wanted to talk about the food and health and all that. Maybe we can do that in part 2. But anyone else want to chime in on Sinbad and just really the message of rallying around? I forgot who said that. I think you said it, Donald. We are our brother.
Absolutely.
We are our brother. We are our sister. My mom raised me to say, you want for your sister what you want for yourself.
Yes.
Like if you're giving somebody something, don't give somebody something that you don't even want.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Don't be, you are. So there is no difference.
Yes.
Any of you fellas want to talk about like brotherhood in that way and really being there when we see one down, Hugh?
Well, I definitely, I'm just seeing the post about Sinbad. I actually saw it today, and I didn't know that he was sick. But there's a lot of entertainers that are quiet, dealing with major illnesses like Albie Shore. Albie Shore.
Look, I'm looking at a picture right now of Albie Shore and Sinbad together.
Yeah, he's been in a coma.
And
a coma.
For 2 months.
Yeah, for 2 months. I just feel like I agree with what the gentleman said before, that we definitely have to start taking care of our physical health. I mean, I'm overweight myself, but I've already started my journey as far as going back in the gym. I don't expect it to happen overnight, but hopefully a year from now, I could have something different than what I have now. You know what I mean? But I also think that the ugly elephant in the room that we don't talk about enough is that us as Black people, we really need to really zero in on ownership. We spend all of this money with Louis Vuitton and all of these big name brands or whatever, and even Kanye, his situation with Adidas, I feel like he really was too trusting with his situation, because I read an article with him that Adidas is going to go ahead and put out a version of Yeezy without him because of how the contract was written. And I just feel like it's just so important for us as Black people to figure out how we can support each other. There's a lot of people out here that are that have different things that they're making, different brands that may not necessarily be at the level of an Adidas or a Nike or whatever, but it could be with us rallying around supporting and building our own brands, because it really boggles the mind that we are the number one consumer.
Absolutely.
Yet we do not take even a good percentage of that and put it into ownership. We don't own a lot of real estate. We don't own our own clothing brands. And if we do the clothing brands, we may do a t-shirt here or there, which is good, but we don't take it further. You know what I mean? We just keep things very safe, and we just really don't push. And not only do we not push, but we don't support the way we should. I mean, and it's just like
we don't rally around each other, like we were talking about with Sinbad. Even bringing it back to that is to rally and to be supportive of one another when we're going through it, or
absolutely. And I just feel like, my father told me, growing up, something that I didn't understand when I was younger, but I understand now. He says that you can't live in a capitalistic society and not be about the business of capital. Meaning, like my father, he was a self-made person. He was a business person for many years, and then he went back home. He's from my parents are from Jamaica, so he came to this country, made his money. He retired, and he went back home. But that's something that really stuck out to me. Now, I don't knock, working in a regular job environment, because I've done it for many years, and I've worked in different environments, from hospitality to an engineering office. I've done different sides of the spectrum, but I really think, even if it's on a small scale, that people really need to really think about ownership. And it could come in many forms. It could be real estate. It could be supporting somebody else who has a business, even if you don't want to do it yourself. But I feel that that is going to be the catalyst to us really growing, because the reason why we're not recognized, or that we don't, that we're always stepped over, is because people only view us as consumers.
That's
Trust
right.
me, if we in a position where we owned and supported and had a very good infrastructure, whether it be through real estate, whether it be through our own businesses, trust me, the political arena would look at us differently. The whole world would look at us differently, because
Correct.
they feel like the only thing that we can do is consume. This is why, at the root of it, we are treated the way we are treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can just add estate planning and
Yeah.
so on and so on,
Well,
getting things in order. And GoFundMe is not a
let me
to pay a funeral. It's not the source. And we can definitely start, we can next episode, we can talk about next part. We can talk about economics when it comes to the Black community. I want to hear these two brothers at the top, their opinion, and we're going to sign off for part one. Pastor Cedric, I was going to say Pastor Leroy, Dr. Cedric. But if you want to just touch on Sinbad and just about rallying around one another, I want to end with that, like being there, as Donald said, we are our brother, we are our sister. And since this is about, the Black community, we're talking about in hot button topics. That's always a hot button topic. We're talking about Sinbad, but also how Black people don't support one another, or we should support another, instead of judging, instead of saying, well, why he ain't do. No, support the brother silently. You know what I'm saying? Or publicly, but don't just start tearing down before you even know. And like I said, that was like one comment out of a million.
Yeah.
Either one of you can talk about that, and then we'll sign off.
No, I'm all for it. I'm all for supporting Sinbad and supporting us, all of us in our culture. I think Hugh has tapped onto something very poignant. It's we have to learn how to stop shucking and jiving with each other. I see that in small business. My wife has a small business. She people haggle with her, but they'll go someplace else and pay more than this. But she's making good stuff, you know what I'm saying, without the preservatives. She's doing healthy stuff, but they'll go someplace else and pay. Or with Donald and Reman Project, his prices are his prices. Pay the invoice, because you will go to some of these other white-led programs and will pay more than that, and you still walk away, and you have to figure out how that applies to your community, where in this book, giving it to you straight. So we have to learn how to come around each other. Like you said, $5, $10, $15. What difference does it make? We go to Starbucks
Absolutely
and pay $15 for some coffee that we don't need, that me and Hugh got to go to the gym and work off. Man, but when it's something that's good, we want to nickel and dime, shuck and jive with each other. So
come on, you better talk right.
For the simple fact that I know that if I was down and on my back for 2 years, my family would have a hard time pulling themselves through another year, and me not being able to provide for them financially. And so I know from personal experience.
Yes, sir.
It's been 4 months since my dad passed away. Donald Morton has been there to support and give me encouragement. He hadn't sent any. It's nothing that he's done outside of just texting me and saying, "Bro, you good? You okay today?" That means more than anything, and so we have to learn how to do that more often, so we can help each other heal and get through those traumatic situations. So I'm all for supporting Sinbad and others. I think most of our folks, when you look at it, like I said, paper thin. So if we don't eat, Sinbad needs support just like Leroy does, Donald, Hugh, you, Dwayne. We need some support when times get hard. So
I love it, because any of us stop getting income right now, we're going to need help from one another. People don't understand that. And I don't like when people say, well, if you're a title or if you're on TV or you're this or you're that, you're thinking it's subhuman. Most people are making a living wage. Let's just be honest. And if any of us don't get a few paychecks, we are living in our cars. Like, let's come on, so it's so important to do that. And I even donated, and you might not know, Roz and Ray Singleton, they were on Black Love, the show Black Love. He's been on America's Got Talent. They've been on the Ellen Show. His wife suffered 4 brain surgery. She had 4 brain surgery because she had brain cancer, and she beat them all until she just didn't. So like last week, she lost her battle. Cancer came back. She lost her battle. So even before she passed away, I'm like up in the middle of the night. I had $20 in my Cash App. I just sent it because this is another Black man who is leading his house. He is caring for his wife. He was caring for his wife in such a loving, tender, authentic way that it exuded off of the screen, which was not for show. It was sincere. Yeah. So to be by her side this whole time through this second battle, he had to quit his job.
Yeah.
And he was there nursing her, all the appointments he showed on Instagram, all the bags of medicine, all the things that he had to do. I didn't even ask questions, because think about that. We have to support one another in that way. I had $20 in my Cash App. That's all I had in there. I sent it. Somebody might send 200. Somebody sent 5. Every bit helps. And we have to start helping other families and not ask questions, because when we give and what we get is not from our source anyway, we shouldn't be concerned about what's going to happen with that, because God got all of that other stuff. We need to start helping our own and really showing that. What do you have to say, Leroy? And you'll have the last word, and we will get on out of here.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm all for, like all other brothers have said, I'm all for supporting Sinbad. He has touched, so many lives over the years. But here's the teachable moment out of this. And it goes to my brother Don's Remand Project, where if we deal with the before, we're prepared for what happens after. Because here's the thing, and Kendéll, you mentioned about estate planning, us understanding trust, so that we have those mechanisms in place for when something does happen. Because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen.
It's when.
It's when it's going to happen.
I'll cut you off real quick, and you can go back. But see, the problem was a lot of people couldn't even pay premiums and payments when it came to COVID, because people were out of work. So some people had it and were doing right and lost it. But go ahead.
Right. But it's about understanding, putting those systems in place that will allow you that when something does happen, and he's obviously the breadwinner of his family, but having something in place that says, hey, I mean, he goes back, 30, 40, 50 years in the industry. And that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's fair. Right.
Sinbad, if Sinbad comes too, he's going to hurt you. He ain't been in no business 50 years. Sinbad is going to hurt you.
No, I'm not saying, no, I didn't mean 50 years. I'm saying that he's been around at least 30. Yeah. He's been around since the 80s.
Yeah, he was on a different world.
Correct. So, yeah, but that, and even before then, he was doing the comedic, kind of his comedic stuff. Mm-hmm. But the point is dealing with that.
That's right.
And understanding, having the knowledge, because a lot of us, I mean, we've talked about it. We've talked about Prince. We talked about Michael Jackson. We talked about Chadwick Boseman. All of these individuals that had the financial pieces to be able to ensure that when something did happen to them, as it did happen, that there were systems in place that took care of their immediate family that was depending on them.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that we need to that gets talked about amongst us that are right here. You know, these men that you see here, we've had these conversations.
Mm.
There are things in place. It's just a matter of getting those other men to be able to see it
Yeah.
and to understand the importance of it and making it a priority, making it a high priority.
Yeah.
Saying, you know what? Yes, I may be working that 9 to 5, but I understand I've got to put something away. I've got to do something. You know, getting a life insurance policy.
Absolutely.
You know, getting a trust. If you're an entrepreneur, you know, understanding what the trust can do with your business, for your business. You know, something as simple as what Master P did, and folks don't talk about it. He got a $10,000 will to him from it. I think it was his grandfather
Mm-hmm.
that was willed to him. He
Mm-hmm.
took that and built what you see today, No Limit, and was able to build from it. And
Mm-hmm.
and now as a consequence off of that, real quick, he was able to build off of that. And now his children are the benefactors, the Rockefellers. Here's this real quick, y'all. If you haven't watched the episode of Earn Your Leisure, right here on YouTube, the brothers Earn Your Leisure, they did an episode with the young brother, and I don't know his name, but it was called the 9 to 5 something, 9 to 5 job. But he talked about the Rockefellers. And he talked about the great great grandfather, I think the original John B. Rockefeller, the one that started it. He took out insurance policies not only on his children, but he took insurance policies out on his children's children. And since then, each generation has done the very same thing. That's how the Rockefellers made their money.
That's legacy.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We've got to understand that, the power in that.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does, and being able to put that system in place and be able to understand that, hey, this is what part of our legacy. This is what we do. There's no question about if, ands, or but. This is what we're going to do. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Because this is a part of our family. Now, we're getting ready to go into Thanksgiving. How many of our families are going to sit around the table and talk about what Brother Don just said, legacy?
Or talking
What's
about
out?
the legacy of healing.
Right.
We want to leave legacies of stuff and
Right.
not leave legacy of healing, of being better, doing all of that. We want to worry about stuff. And as the Black community, Donald said it, Hugh said it, we're the #1 consumer, and we got to stop focusing on stuff and focus on what's really important and what's really holding our community down or making it collapse in a sense.
Yep. You know, so I mean, but that's the importance of seeing these things, because I don't want to see another celebrity doing a GoFundMe.
Yeah, right.
I just don't.
Right.
I mean, and even us as, you know, as collectively as a community. If you can go out here and you can buy Gucci, you can buy Louis Vuitton, you can buy an insurance policy.
Mm-hmm. Money
You know,
is fickle.
Those are the things that we need to understand if we're going to shift who we are as a community and begin to get that leverage that we should have and do what it is that we need to do.
And we're going to end right there. He had the final word with that. It's really about the Black community. I mean, I can summarize this whole show, but what I think it was pretty awesome to listen to the perspective of Black men when we're talking about the Black community and talking about hot button topics that everyone, you know, is talking about. When I decided to do this, I just appreciate each and every one of you. And Dwayne, if you're still watching or if you watch the playback, I appreciate you also. But thank you so much, Donald. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Pastor Cedric. Thank you, Dr. Leroy. I appreciate you all so much for just being a part of it. And Donald and Hugh were ready to watch. And they you know, and look, man, just how everything just fell right in line. You know, Leroy, thank you for connecting us.
Hey,
So Claire,
I appreciate these brothers answering that call and them saying yes, because I mean these guys,
final
the
hour.
conversations that we've had, these are the conversations this tonight. I've had these kinds of conversations with each of these brothers. So when we wanted to talk about this, and I was just like putting this on this platform, Kendall, because we talk about this all the time, that it's not talked about enough. We don't shine the light on these kinds of topics because it's not pretty. It's not the shiny object
Yeah.
that needs to get talked about. It's not shiny. It ain't always pretty. We stepped on some, we stepped on some toes, and we have to make people look in the mirror
Yes.
and see what it is that we need to do as a community if we're going to get better, if we're going to make it better. Y'all know what my purpose is to say, to make you better by the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And we do that by doing having these kinds of conversations and being a part of these kinds of conversations. So y'all know what to do. Go on,
Tell them.
click it. Go on, click it. Go and click it. Click that share button, click that like button, click that subscribe button, make it happen.
Absolutely. And this is the kind of content that you get over here on this channel. You can go back and look at the other panels or the other interviews. You might see some celebrities, you might see some entrepreneurs, you might see some doctors. You'll see it all because we are multifaceted. And we said it a few times, we're not monolithic. So it's so important to have these kind of conversations, because that's how you grow, that's how you heal, that's how you get a better understanding. And what fun is it for everybody to have the same view and same opinion? I'm just, even though it's my show, I'm honored that you brought this show on the road. If this is the kind of talk y'all talk, I'm glad y'all brought it over here. As I was talking about, I can't end without, I'm talking about support. So I'm going to start with Cedric. How can people get in contact with you and everything that you're doing?
Well, you can just, you can follow me on Facebook. Look me up at Cedric J. Nelms. I got a YouTube channel as well at SETI 40. But I also got a couple of books on Amazon. So if you just type in Cedric Nelms, you'll pull my books up. And my personal website is cjnglobal.net.
Come on now. All right, Dr. Leroy, what you got?
Well, they can go to my link tree to go to everywhere. I'm on Facebook, on YouTube as well, all of those. But if you go to http :// link tree, and that's linktr.ee/JNF Enterprises, it'll pull up all of those, and you can just click on them and go to all of those the different links to be able to support all of the different content that I have, in addition to the books that I have as well, and all of the other products that I have too.
All right, Mr. Donald.
Go to remaninternational.com. That is where I want everybody to visit. We are attempting to curate the largest, strongest, dopest community of Black males on the planet, right? And so I'm so honored to be able to work with Sid. That's my guy. And now Dr. Leroy taking it to Baltimore. That's my guy. These guys know one another. And so it's just really dope how things have kind of unveiled. And before I go, sis, let me thank you. Here's why. Brothers have been silenced for years. There haven't been a lot of platforms. When we talk about men, everybody wants to lump Black men in with white men. We ain't the same. We ain't got the same privileges. We ain't got the same access. We ain't the same. And so by virtue of the fact that you will give us a couple of hours of your time and to hear us and to sit present with us and to be available to us, it means the world. So thank you. Thank you for that. And Brother Hugh, I need you to go to remancommunity.com and join the private Facebook group. It all goes down on the Facebook group. Small Business Saturdays. We do business with one another. It's just a really, really dope space. REMANNED community.com. Come hang out with us, man. And drop them gems, drop them bars like you dropped tonight.
Okay.
And Sister Kendéll, We would love for you to be there, but you can't.
I know. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this. This is as good as I'm gonna get because I can't get behind the curtain. I'm gonna take this.
So thanks, sis. Thank
But
you.
you are so welcome, and thank you so much. And I truly believe that Black men need a space of their own. You know, it bothered me even when women came to the Million Man March. I'm like, can they have something? Like, why you have to go? You know, and people don't understand that. I seen, you know, I've talked about this before, and you know, I love Erica Campbell and Warren Campbell. I love them. Let me say that first. But he was at a men's event and she was peeking in and she was there. I was like, could he have that? Let the brother have that. Right. You know, so I'm all for that. I think that you all need a space and place that's curated just for you all, because you got to help heal each other. You got to help support each other and uplift each other. And women, we don't need to be behind the curtain for that. We just need to see the result and knowing that they were doing the work and putting in the work. We don't need to see the process. Yeah. I just want to say that for the women. All right, Hugh. Talking to people. Now he's the photographer extraordinaire. My beautiful, was that me? My new headshots, he did those, and he did Leroy's too. He's an amazing photographer out of Baltimore. So I just got to say that for you. Go ahead. If you use my name, you might get a discount. Mike.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate being on this show with everybody. It's interesting to hear different perspectives. It's very good to be able to hear rare conversations, because real conversations is an endangered species these days. If people want to reach me to do photography or even to get to my link tree, my Instagram page is Hugh_Williams Photography. I have my link tree there as well, where I solicit for my book. I have a book on PayHip as well as Amazon called 180 Days, the Book of Affirmations. And it's a book that pretty much has an affirmation for 180 days to, just mentally heal. Book that I had written during a time where things was kind of dark for me. So I'm just hoping that, sometimes in darkness comes out light, you know what I mean? So this is a book that I really believe in. So I hope that, people will support it. But yeah, that's it. I'm definitely happy to have been on. I got called on here last minute, and it really feels good to really be able to, hear different perspectives from people who, have definitely seen some things and have an opinion of their own, and are not scared to share their opinion.
Absolutely, guys. I'm humbled, and I thank you so very much for taking the time out. And it was 2 hours of your time, so I don't take that lightly, because time is
money.
It's money, but it's a commodity that we have, no control over. You know what I mean? Time is precious. People talk about gems and jewels and all of that. But I know Donald and I can relate to that when it's a cancer survivor. Like, time, man, time is precious. Everybody on here has been through something. It might not be cancer, but like even Hugh just talked about dark place. So to be able to hear you all's perspective, and I know your perspective is often shaped off of your experiences and what you've seen in the world. So it's valued and it's honored here. And I thank you all so much for taking the time to spend with me tonight.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. You heard it. This is the panel. We were talking about the Black community and hot button topics. And you can't talk about some things without talking about another. And there's so much more to talk about. So these men have agreed to do a part 2. I will talk to them behind closed doors to figure out when we're going to do that. But remember, everybody, to make sure you have healthy conversation and dialogue with the Black men in your life, with the Black women in your life, to figure out what we can do as a people to change the narrative about us, because we should be in control of that. I'm all for healthy conversation. This panel series is about that. This channel is about education, elevation, and entertainment, and changing the narrative in our community. So remember, guys, you are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Bye, y'all. Thank you.